This episode is going to be kind of like a big hug if you feel like you need one of those. I know it sounds cheesy, corny. I'm cheesy and corny, what can I say? So if you need a little comfort and coziness, this episode is for you. Let's get into it.
You got me feeling a fight. You got me feeling a fight. Like how could I not think of you?
Welcome back to the Bedside Table. I'm your host, Ellie Marie. This is episode 32. And I'm in a very comfy mood this evening. I'm very comfy, cozy tonight. And so I wanted to come on here and share some of that comfort with all of you. So if you find yourself tonight in a place where you're not feeling so great, maybe you feel a bit lost, I believe in you, and I know you'll find your way through. And if you're here and you're enjoying life right now and you're joyful, I believe in you as well. I know you'll cherish these moments of peace, these moments of happiness and contentment that we get to enjoy among the chaos, among the mess of life. But life is all of that. I told one of my friends this evening that light always finds its way, even among the darkest of moments. There's always light. Sometimes it just takes a little more time to find it. So if you find yourself in a dark place right now and you do feel a bit lost, that's okay. I am no stranger to life's ups and downs, to life's difficulties. But it's interesting. I've talked a lot about this spirit of hope that I've had throughout much of my life. This little flame, this little fire that burns within me, that I believe exists within all of us. This spirit of hope is something that has carried me throughout the difficult times of my life. Always this little voice in the back of my head saying, it's going to be okay. I remember saying out loud to a boyfriend of mine at the time, we were going through something difficult, and I just remember saying out loud, it's going to be okay. And he said, well, how do you know? And I said, I don't. But it's all been okay. It's all been okay anyway, even if I don't know that it's going to be okay. I watched this video tonight on YouTube. It popped up on my feed. It was a tarot reading. Don't judge me. It was a tarot reading, and it was like, this will find you when it's meant to, one of those things. I've started watching those videos, so of course my algorithm, I think, is like throwing them at me now, but I enjoy them, so don't come after me. But I watched this video tonight, and it talked about, what was I saying? I was talking about, I lost my train of thought, but I'll find it. I was talking about when I told my boyfriend at the time that things are going to be okay. Oh, faith. Talked about having faith. The very first card that popped up was like it was the bridge. And there was like a rainbow involved. And it was like, he talked about it being this leap of faith. And when you make a leap of faith, because I'm someone who, and I'm sure, I think it's just a human thing, but I'm someone who likes to know that the direction I'm moving in is the right direction. That the place I'm going to, the path that I'm walking leads me to where I want to go, right? But I can't possibly know that. And that brings a feeling of uncertainty and discomfort of not knowing, am I making the right decisions? Am I walking on the right path? Am I doing the right things? am I actually going where I want to go? Because I can't see the future. I can't see ahead of time. But the first card that came up in this video that I watched from this tarot reading was the bridge. And he talked about it as just being like taking a leap of faith and understanding, like believing in yourself and intuitively believing that things are going to work out. But it takes this belief in you. You have to trust in yourself. You have to trust that you are making the right choices. You have to trust that you are moving in the right direction. And that can be really difficult, especially when you feel lost, and especially when you feel lost with yourself, when you don't exactly know what it is that you want or what direction you want to be moving in. And I've been there plenty of times. I'll probably be there again at some point. But honestly, I don't know. I feel that I can confidently say that I've reached a point in my life where at least I can confidently say I know what I do not want. And that's kind of half the battle, right? To know what I don't want is like, it eliminates choices. It eliminates options. It eliminates paths. Therefore, making it a little easier for me to decide in which ways I want to go. In knowing what ways I do not want to go, in knowing the kinds of ways I do not want to be, in knowing the kinds of things that I do not want in my life, that opens up more of an understanding to know what it is that I do truly want. So in regards to finding your way, I know you'll find your way, first of all, because if you're finding it a bit difficult to believe in you, I believe in you and I trust in you. And I'm extending this comfort out to you in hopes that perhaps you'll find a little space within yourself today, tonight, wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now. You'll find a little space within yourself to believe in you and to trust in you a little more, because you really do know. I know, and I've heard it before too, and I know it sounds cliche and cheesy, but you really do know what it is that you want for yourself. It's just things get messy. Life gets messy. We get messy internally. We lose our sense of self, our sense of direction, but really we're never really gone from ourselves. We're always in here. You're always in there with you. It's kind of like finding the light in the dark. To find yourself within yourself, sometimes it just takes a little time. And a little bit of listening. A little bit of listening. And I think sometimes when we try and tune into ourselves, we may not like what we have. We may not like what we hear. Because if you're anything like me, the little voice inside of me was not very nice for quite some time. And it's difficult. It's difficult to want to listen in and understand what's going on inside when it's very dark inside. When it's nasty in there, I understand. To a degree, I can understand. But speaking of that, the shirt that I'm wearing right now, if you're listening and you're not watching, it's a yellow long sleeve, and there's a sunflower, a little sunflower on the front, and there's a big sunflower on the back. And this shirt actually inspired me to write one of my original songs from years ago. But the song was essentially about I was finding my way, and the person who was helping me find my way, the person who was leading me, was me all along. And this song kind of brought out this realization. This song was kind of like the realization of me understanding that it's me who's here for me. It's me who's lighting the way for myself. Not to say that I have not had considerable help from friends, from loved ones, from strangers, from situations, from higher sources. It's not to say that I haven't been blessed in those ways, but the song that I wrote was about me believing in me trusting in myself. And so, here's what the back of my shirt says. How you view and talk to yourself is nothing you'd repeat out loud. I know you feel like this is it. This is all the future holds for you. Keep going. Keep trying every single day. You're already making waves, moving mountains, becoming who you're meant to be. It all starts with showing up for you, trusting you, and believing in you. From the person who will always believe in you. I know that it can be hard to believe in yourself and to trust that you really know what is best for yourself, because sometimes it seems like we don't. Sometimes it seems like I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know which way to go. And again, for those of you who feel a bit lost right now, you feel like you're in a dark place, just know that you can still believe in you even in those moments. It's going to be harder. Ow! I'm trying to do this episode without reacting to Dorothy's freaking claws in my leg, but I'm pretty sure I'm bleeding. While I was reading that, what's on the back of my shirt, she was deeply clawing into my leg, and I was like, just keep reading it. I'm pretty sure I'm freaking bleeding. Hold on. I have to look. Okay, no, I'm fine. It just hurt really bad because I had to like rip her claw out of my leg. Okay, anyway. Sorry, back on track. But yeah, I know that God, that's so funny to segue into I'm being clawed to death in my leg and like, hey, believe in yourself. But we're getting back into it. We're getting back into it, okay? A little comedic relief never hurt nobody. I believe in you. Okay? And there was a time in my life, not too long ago, when I really struggled to believe in myself. But again, like I've said, there's this consistent spirit of hope that has existed within me. And it's part of the reason why I started this podcast, because I have always wanted to share, I've always wanted to talk about the weird shit that goes on in my head. But more than just that, I've always wanted to share this sense of hope that I have, to share this, honestly, this unconditional love for humanity that I have, because I think that exists within all of us. And I know that's something that can be argued against, of like, you know, how can the worst of people unconditionally love humans, right? Like, how can that exist within them? Like, if you think of like the worst human beings who have lived, if you think of like murderers, and you think of like rapists and like child predators, and this is something I've not shared. I don't think I've shared this with, I think maybe I've shared this with one person in my life. And he was the person that I used to share all of these things with. But when I say I believe in you, it comes from a place of believing in everyone. And for the people that view other people as like monsters, right? Think of the people that we view as monsters. So like murderers and rapists and child predators. We view these people as like monsters. And like there's an evilness within these types of people. And I think I'm a bit biased. 'Cause like, God, I don't know if I want to share this right now, but I'm in the space where it feels like this is what I want to share. So, my older brother went to jail for being a sex offender. And I remember the day that his picture went up, or rather his picture went up on Facebook, because they do this thing, especially with like child predators. I mean, obviously I understand, but they post it online, and it was posted, and his picture was posted, and his charges were posted. And at the time I was sitting in my car, and my high school best friends, they had sent me the post, and they were like, have you seen this? And I went to the post, because I haven't even known that I don't even know that I had known he had gone to jail for this yet at this time. But when I went to the post on Facebook, I was just reading through all of the comments, and again, like I said, I feel like I'm a bit biased because he's my brother. But everything that everyone was saying, and I can understand where it comes from. I can understand it's from people who have children and sisters and brothers, and like I completely can understand the hurt that exists from someone doing such an act of cruelty. But to read such things about someone that I grew up with, he was someone who was my best friend growing up, and I watched his struggles and I saw his pain, and I lived alongside him. And again, like I said, I guess that gives me a biased perspective, but it's not even just with my brother that I feel like I don't think these people are monsters. It's not like people just come out and are born as these horrible, people aren't born as horrible things. And I genuinely don't think that there's anyone who is born and is destined to do horrible things. I don't think that I personally don't think that that's true. But yeah, there were people were just saying such awful things and calling my brother a monster. And again, like I said, I can understand. Because I myself witnessed dysfunctional abuse within my family and felt those same kinds of pains and hurts and anger. But it has not taken away from this spirit of hope. It has not taken away from this unconditional love that I feel, regardless of what someone has done. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't think there shouldn't be consequences to one's actions. I do believe that there should be. But to think that we just write people off because they do something that we could never think of doing ourselves. But if you really think about it, I mean, any human is capable of any act. And you could argue, right? Oh, I would never do such a thing. But we've only ever lived our lives in our bodies, in our minds, with our souls. So maybe we can safely say, I would never be that person. I could never do such a thing. But we don't know. We don't know what goes on in the minds and the bodies of other people. We don't know what other people have endured. And even if we think we know, we don't understand how they themselves have experienced and interpreted what they've gone through, and we never will understand that. My hope when it comes to these people that we label as monsters, my hope is that we reach a place where we can at least start trying to understand them. Start trying to understand what led them to do such a thing. And maybe we will never understand. I don't think we'll ever understand to the fullest capacity that we could, because we'll never exist as the individual who went through the thing and who did the thing. But my hope is that maybe we, throughout the pain and the hurt that we feel when these unspeakable things happen, that maybe we can find it in ourselves to try and understand. I don't know why I went on this long tangent about this, but like I said, I was just I felt like opening up about it. And I do not feel that people will agree. Maybe that's why I was reluctant. I don't think people would agree that murderers and rapists and child predators deserve to be heard out. Which isn't, I guess in simple terms, that's what I'm saying. And again, I do think that there will always be consequences that exist. And I do think consequences should exist. But like I said, I just have to say that I have an unconditional love for humanity. If I were to say I have an unconditional love for humanity, for that to be true, it can't just mean the part of humanity that doesn't do these things. Does that make sense? So for me to come on here and say I have an unconditional love for humanity, I must be true in that. Because I do have an unconditional love for humanity, for humans, regardless of what they've done. So I can't just... It would be hypocritical of me to say I love humans, but not those humans. And I think maybe that's what some of us do. We say, oh, I like these humans. I like this human when this human is doing the good thing. We can see this in like our relationships. Whether that be like friends. I think friends, it's different. Maybe family is also different. But when it's like a romantic relationship, I think that's the easiest to spot where our unconditional love falters a bit. Is when you're in a romantic relationship, your partner does something, you're like, I liked you before you did that. I like these things about you, but and then, there are, of course, you can like some things about you're not gonna like everything. So it's, of course, I can like that you do this and not like that you do this, and I can still unconditionally love you. Because unconditional love, I don't think, is about liking what the people do. Because for me, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I like the things that my brother did. I can't say that at all, because of course I wish that he wouldn't have done those things, and I don't like that he did those things. But I can still unconditionally love him. I can still choose to try and understand why he may have done the thing that he did. And it doesn't excuse it. Trying to understand why something happens doesn't mean that we give an excuse for it. And it doesn't mean that it voids it of the consequences that must exist for it. It just, I think, offers up a space for us to be unconditional with someone. I said that really weird. Unconditionally loving someone offers us a space to not label them as a monster. Unconditionally loving someone offers us the space to see them as more than just the bad things that they've done. Even if those things are really, really bad. And I'm not trying to convince you how to think or how to feel. This is just how I think and how I feel. And it's a massive struggle sometimes. Because like I said, I felt a reluctance talking about this kind of thing, especially on a public platform, even though I'm not very far reaching on this public platform, which is fine. I have hopes that I will be someday. But I know that this belief of mine, that even the quote unquote worst kinds of people deserve unconditional love. I know that that's not something that everyone will agree with, and that's okay. That's okay. I just feel like it's the quote unquote worst of us that I feel need this unconditional love the most. And maybe that's untrue, maybe that's wrong of me to say, because I do genuinely believe that all of us are deserving of unconditional love. And I guess I'm not trying to say that people who have done worse things than others are more deserving of it. I think they just need it more. We all need it. But I do think that there are certain people who need it more. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think part of the problem is that we seem to punish them by like stripping away the humanness of these people. We strip away this love and then we bombard them with hate and hurt and anger. And again, I understand. But I feel like it's the hate and the hurt and the anger that got them there in the first place, to becoming something that they probably didn't want to be anyway. I don't know. That was a thing I did not expect to share tonight. While I was talking about believing in yourself, I started this episode was like, I believe in you, believe in yourself if you're in a dark time, and then went to, I think the worst of people really need unconditional love. Yeah. I guess it just comes from a place of like, because like my family's really fucked up. But when I think about why my family's really fucked up, it's like, oh, well, like my parents went through some really, really tough shit. And I can imagine that their parents went through more. And then their parents and like so on and so forth. And I just feel like we're in this space and time and we're existing here and now where we do really have so much love that we can give. And I feel like that love can change things. And I know that may sound kind of silly, but like that's kind of been a big theme of my life as of late. It's just like, it's been a big, I don't know how to explain it without it sounding weird, but just, yeah, that's been the biggest theme of my life right now recently, is like love is what matters. Love is what's important. Like I was driving today and I was pulling out of my apartment complex and I was stopped at the end where I was taking a right turn and there were no other cars coming, so I could have turned right, and there was a car behind me and they honked at me. And like that's something that would probably make somebody upset, is being honked at, and I'm sure I've gotten upset at it before, but when I turned after they honked at me and they went past me, I remember saying, I was like, you know what? I was like, I hope you have a really good day. It's like wherever you need to be getting to so quickly. I was a little sassy there. I can't get rid of all the sass, but I was like, I hope you have a really good day. And an incident had occurred later while I was driving, and like a couple of cars were like speeding past me or something. And I was just like, you know what? I hope y'all have a great day. And I just noticed like how good it felt to exude that kind of energy, how good it felt to, I guess, be more loving in a moment when I could have been angry, in a moment when I could have been hateful. I was just compassionate. I was just loving. And I think that's something that we could probably all extend out a little bit more sometimes. So I hope you find whatever spaces are lacking in your life, whether that be towards yourself or towards someone else or towards a situation. I hope you find a little space to extend some unconditional love out to it. Extend some comfort and some compassion and peace. I suppose maybe that's why I felt compelled to speak of my own story with like my family and my brothers, and just to speak upon how we're so quick to label people who do awful things as monsters. And again, I understand, and the consequences of the actions of these people that we label, the consequences do deserve to exist as well. But I don't think a bombardment of anger and pain and hatred is going to make much of a difference. But that's my take on it. That's what I believe. I just think there's a lot of room for love. And I think we're in a time and place, again, like I said, where that's really possible. And I believe in us in that way. And as cheesy as it sounds, I think love will always find a way. And it is unfortunate that horrible things happen, and that those horrible things do bring about pain and anger, and I can understand. But I just feel like I'm here to offer up what I think is the most valuable. I think what I have as the most valuable thing to offer in general is just this spirit of hope that I carry and this unconditional love that I feel for the world and its people. I do think that's the most valuable thing that I have to offer. And though the things I say, not everyone will agree with, and that's okay. I still want to extend out this hope and this unconditional love as far as it'll go. And I don't know how far it will go. Perhaps my podcast doesn't grow much, and perhaps I don't reach as many people as I hope to reach, but I do have hopes for myself, and I do believe in myself. And I do believe that what I have to say is of value, and it will reach those that it needs to. But I'm going to end this episode by saying, I believe in you. And whatever it is that you have going on, I believe in it. I believe in your hope. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Bedside Table, and I will see you next time. Good night.